All right. Here we go. One big question that I have been asked and have discussed amongst other airmen, nurses, and anyone on the line side is whether or not the Air Force is going to downsize. What's really good on my day ones? Welcome back to the channel. So basically this is like a follow-up of the last video that I did. If you haven't seen that video, I will put a link at the end of this, and that's just to address what is going on in this chaotic environment that's happening in the Air Force right now and all across the Department of Defense and the government. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Any and all resources will be posted down below for you to read on. I like to read before I like to talk, only because if you're talking without having actual information, then you're just talking out of your ass. Is the Air Force downsizing? Let's see what airforce.mil says. One of the big pointers that Pete Hegseth emphasized on is strengthening the military by cutting fiscal fraud, waste, and abuse, and that's caused all over throughout the DOD, which has been directed by him to find ways to refocus the department budget. What does that mean? The Pentagon has proposed 50 billion annual cuts. These cuts are going to cut back on expenditures that, that don't need to be happening. Like, for example, sometimes some departments get nicer chairs every year. For what reason exactly? So sometimes those are the things that you have to question. And by scaling down, we want to increase productivity. So therefore, there is money allocation to that productivity. And the reason why DOGE exists is to pinpoint exactly where that money is going. By doing so, in short, this is what Pete Hegseth said. In short, we want the biggest, most badass military on planet. But by doing so, he wants to prioritize strengthening the military, and that's cutting out programs that don't need to be there. And in order to do so, he wants to tackle excess spending and addressing the issue of fraud, waste, and abuse. That's point number one. Point number two, funds to refocus border protection, fighting transnational criminal organizations, nuclear modernization, submarine programs, missile defense, drone technology, cybersecurity, core readiness and training, and defense industrial base. Now, when they're focusing on all that, they want to cut out the performers who aren't delivering. The old military, like the old school military back in the 80s, 90s, focused on merit base. Fast forward to today, there are people who have gotten participation medals that, like, you're questioning is like, how did this person get this? Even I continue to question that. So cutting out these performers, he said, ensure the best and brightest are promoted based on merit, which I agree with, because there are leaders who I've dealt with who I feel like push their own personal agenda that doesn't match with that of the mission, if that makes sense. Thirdly, he wants to implement a hiring freeze and identify better hiring practices to find the best hard-charging individuals. This goes into the actual cut. Now, if you haven't been reading or actually watching the news, they have basically cut 5,000 plus jobs, and a lot of the probationary hires have been cut. And this is in order to reduce the civilian workforce by 5 to 8%. Now, do I think this is a great idea in such a short amount of time? It's a double-edged sword, right? Because there are already programs in place that are actually working. However, some of those programs that do exist, you should not even be getting money allocation. Like programs where you're like, what is this program exactly doing for me? Like, I've never heard of it. And that's the problem. There's so much of these programs that do exist that even I don't know about until it's cut or hurt or, someone mentions it. And I do believe that this is a step forward in creating a more efficient military. I'm not going to judge the military on what it's done in the past. As a data analyst myself, you could only take a look at the data that's presented to you. And the data that has already been created, you can't alter that data. What you can do is establish a baseline, identify the problems, implement a process, and create better outcomes. That's how you streamline better processes. Does that make sense? But yeah, in short, I don't think they're going to cut actual Air Force jobs at the moment. There has been discussions about repurposing officers who are in jobs that could backfill a lot of short positions. Do I see that happening with the healthcare field? I don't think so, not as of right now, because we are short-manned ourselves compared to that of our of our line side brothers and sisters. They too are short, so only time will tell, and hopefully we could see in due time what's going to happen. Tell me what your thoughts are. I'd love to know them, and let's have a discussion. But besides that, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash the thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new, and to all the new viewers, thank you, and to all my returning viewers, thank you. I'll see you guys in the next video.